Hello, Joe.
Hello, Brad. How are you?
Good.
Man, it's hot out there today, dude.
Ew, it's a scorcher.
That's when it's time for everybody that has sense to get out of Miami.
Yeah. We have a text chat group with, other parents of children of my children's age and people their kids have grown up with, whatever. And I think they've spent the entire morning sending text messages to each other about deodorant choices. So you're not making any sound.
Because I was chewing on something.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just sweaty.
It's brutal. Welcome to Miami summer.
Yeah, this is what I love when all the recent transplants. This is when they kind of walk outside to go work in their garden or something that they've been talking about all winter, and then they're like, "What the fuck, man? It's hot out here." Wonder what's going on in Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, you get used to it.
Hey, I sent you a link in our group. I'm going to put it up on screen, and not right this second, but take a look at it. It's about
Japan.
Eamon sent, yeah.
Is this El Salvador?
No,
Beach?
It's Japan. Read the thing.
Okay, I'm in it now. Coming. Japanese 10-year yields rocketing up by 80. Yeah, but weren't they starting like negative?
Evidently, from what I'm reading within the thread of folks, is that that they're having some real problems there, and that they may be in trouble.
Well, they've been in trouble for 40 years. Since 1990, it's been a slow rolling death over there. But they hang in. They just keep bumping out money, and they're a very loyal country.
Yeah. Well, evidently they're having some difficulties today. So people were saying that this is a pretty consequential thing. But I understand less of that than you do. So thought I'd get your thoughts on it.
What are they all saying? I don't see anybody saying.
Well, they're saying they're trying to keep the rates under 0.25%, but they're failing. And they are, hold on a second.
Okay.
I found a couple of summary quotes
one thing is that a lot of times a lot of people will rotate into yen just because it's not as directly hit by everybody else. So I could see what's happening is that, now remember, we had an inversion of the yield curve in the U.S. a couple of days ago. So what that means is people aren't comfortable locking it up for 10 years. And maybe they are comfortable locking up for 10 years in Japan. So there's probably a lot of capital flooding. Well,
they're saying, for those wondering, this is horrible for Japanese government creditors in Japan. When rates go up, the value of existing bonds with lower coupon rates are less valuable. So those holding are having issues.
Well, that's what happens in bonds in general. There was another I saw. We got to get on is Bob Guzman, because I saw him talking something I was in LinkedIn yesterday.
Oh yeah, let's get Bob on. That'd be great.
Because he was talking about commercial paper. He was talking about mortgages, and I've been talking about the mortgage market a lot. But every time I say it, everybody goes, "Oh no, it's all fixed. It's all low rate. It's all this and that." And I'm like, but then why are people like Bob saying there's a big problem looming in the mortgage space?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Well, 5.87% I saw this morning on mortgage rates.
Yeah, let me see what I should. I can get my buddy who ran the Japan desk and ask him what the hell he thinks on this.
All right,
you go ahead and talk. I'm gonna.
All right. So took a look at the. We're still sitting at 80% ST ETH and 19% ETH in the curve pool. I don't know if anything more is going to come of that, but not much change today. We are holding steady, Joe. What do you think the current fear greed index is? Well, since I said holding steady, 7. We're still at 7. So maybe that's the bottom. Maybe I'll just invest based on the fear and greed index from now on. Joe's not there. Joe's talking to his Japanese desk buddy. All right, never mind. All right, so extreme fear and greed, but we're seeing little bits and pieces of bounces here and there. Bitcoin's at 20,990, ETH at 1109. I did see earlier though that Near was having a little more bounce than everybody else. Up 1.1% on the day, but making a little bit of a move, I guess. I'm not sure what's driving Near to get a bigger bounce than everybody else, but it's interesting. I like the team at Near, and I think they're doing good shit. So really interesting to see. The highest performing of the day is Elrond, EGLD. And I have never taken a dive into Elrond, but having a good day if you're a Elrond holder. 13.82% up. So, all right, let's dive into a few issues coming up. So for those of you who were paying attention the other day, I was planning on releasing my interview with Joey Santoro, the founder of Fei, which is an algorithmic stablecoin, collateralized stablecoin. Because he and I had one interview 3 days before let me back a little bit further. So Fei and Rari merged in, I believe, December was when they completed the merger of those two protocols. Rari being a lending protocol and called their lending protocol called Fuse with a couple of other products, and then Fei being stablecoin, and they felt like it was a beautiful marriage, and the founders of both got along really well. So I interviewed Joey, and 3 days after I interviewed Joey, Rari Fuse pools were exploited for I don't remember how many dozens of millions of dollars, but it was a lot. And the immediate response when the two of those protocols merged, they formed something called the Tribe, which gave holders of the tokens of each of the projects voting rights on the decisions of the DAO. So Joey agreed to come back on an interview with me a few weeks later. So we did the interview, and it was to talk about the exploit, because all of the things that we had talked about previously were very exciting about what I was really excited about what the protocol was doing. And when I was editing the episode the other night, I was even more excited. I was like, this is just brilliant, the way they are building components of an ecosystem of their own, everything that DeFi could need. And he messaged me and asked me to hold off on releasing the interview. And I respect Joey, so I was happy to do that. But what he told me was that the Fei Rari protocol was going to be voting over today and yesterday on whether or not to reimburse people that lost money in that protocol that crashed, that was exploited. And the original vote by the DAO, the original proposal to the DAO to start the reimbursement process was actually vetoed they have a veto committee, and they have a pretty cool governance system that we talk about in the show a lot, but in the interview a lot. But anyway, it was vetoed by the veto committee, not to stop the proposal for reimbursement, but that they felt there were some things wrong with the way it was being done. At least that's what was said. So yesterday, the voting started on Tally to begin the reimbursement process again. And Fei, the protocol that's supposedly merged with Rari, came out in opposition to the reimbursement. And the context that I got for that, hold on, let me find that. The context that I got from that is they're concerned because the funds for reimbursement partially were going to come out of Fei's protocol controlled value. And they are trying to maintain a very high collateralization level for Fei, and Fei has held its peg beautifully throughout all of the bullshit. And they're trying to maintain a high collateralization level. So essentially, they're coming out and saying, no, we don't want to reimburse people if it requires us to take it from the protocol controlled value. Interestingly enough, yesterday, Maki, formerly the founder or the leader of Sushi, is a big holder in the protocols, and he voted know as well. Both of them are making the points that there are other methodologies with some tokens or otherwise to reimburse the people that lost money in the exploit, but that taking money from the protocol controlled value of Fei is not the right way to do it. At first, I got my back up a little bit because I thought, well, at the end of the day, both Fei and Rari said from the very beginning, right after the exploit, that they were going to reimburse. But I think that when it got down to the nitty gritty of where the money was coming from, that's when it became a problem. And to add and make matters worse, the one of the founders and one of the lead developers of the Rari team retired and left. So anyway, it was it's a bit of a mess. So yesterday, the voting was 2-1 against the reimbursement, but that has since shifted somewhat. It is now 25.82 million votes for the reimbursement process and 38.25 votes against. So it was a 2-1 margin yesterday. Now it's a somewhat slimmer margin for those that are voting against the reimbursement process. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. I find this really interesting. What's really interesting is kind of the DAO process, the governance process, and the battle here, because there are a lot of people that were harmed pretty severely in the exploit, and they are obviously upset and angry that they're not going to get their money soon. But at the end of the day, there's a very strong argument being made by Joey and Fei about the fact that taking money from the collateralization of Fei could be a mistake and could be very dangerous. So I don't know where this is all going to end up, but it's fascinating to kind of watch it. I respected Joey's request and did not release the episode yesterday. We've actually discussed resetting and doing an entire interview because there's a number of things going on with the protocol. The first interview I did with him, like I said, I was incredibly excited about. I felt like they were beautifully positioned for a bear market and that they were aggressively going after building out an entire powerful ecosystem between Fei and Rari that would build a foundation that would position them to become a blue chip project coming out of a bear market. And it seems to me that there are more issues happening here, that probably the founders of Rari are not very happy that Fei is coming out separately, not as the tribe, but as its own protocol when they're supposed to be merged, saying that they oppose it. And Joey has said he's opposed it. I have heard that the founders have all agreed to abstain from voting. But anyway, it's a bit of a mess. I held the episode. I'll let you guys know what's going to happen with it the next week or so. But I've got several other episodes coming out that I'm going to be wrapping up today through the weekend to fill the gap of some really interesting stuff as well. But this is a bit of a mess. Joe, I know you were on the phone, so I don't know if you heard any of this. But anyway.
Fei Rari?
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into it again, but it was all about reimbursement from the exploit. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get any news from the Japanese guys?
Yeah. I caught him on the tarmac. But what's
on the tarmac to his private jet?
No. These guys have to fly commercial.
Oh.
They can't go private unless.
This is government, or is this?
Yeah, these guys are government.
Oh, okay.
So look, what's going on is that two things. One, everybody else has raised interest rates. After us yesterday, I think the Bank of England went up 125 bips. Swiss, I think, went up 0.5. So people are raising across the board. When that happens, and Japan says it's not raising. So then the money you can go get more coupons somewhere else. So it's starting to rotate out. So then out of the 10-year anyhow. So then the Bank of Japan's in buying heavily right now of those 10 years to support it. So it's just the simplest thing that they said it's probably just the fact that people are rotating money out because they can get higher coupons somewhere else. And nobody likes 10-year right now because it's too far out. Right. So they rotate up to shorter ones until they decide. And as I said before, when the dollar is the apex currency of the planet and it's getting higher interest rates than others, I mean, it's a no-brainer to rotate your risk-free money into dollar assets.
Right.
So I think that's probably what's going on.
All right.
We'll see if they could keep up with it, if the BOJ could keep up with the buying.
Nice. So he basically is saying they really don't think it's something to be greatly concerned about.
Well, I mean, they're going to probably have to raise interest rates.
Right.
I mean, that's the. I mean, but I don't know. I haven't really stayed on top of the Japanese economy, so I don't really know what it's kind of been going sideways for 30 years. It seems like to me.
Right.
So I don't know how much they were doing QE forever, and then could never quite dig their way out. And I don't know if they have now or not, but that was 15 years ago.
Right.
So it's one of those things where they're a very conservative society.
Yeah.
And, they don't, they're kind of looking at it from a, insular, isolated perspective. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think that, what would be the consequence? Well, also the yen's at its lowest value in, I think, 15 years.
Right.
So what does that tell you? It tells you people are selling yen.
Yeah.
So dropping out of the 10 years.
They'll tell you to go to Tokyo and vacation.
You're on the West Coast next week. So just gas up your jet and head over.
Do you ever ask all these guys, that work in government that are big brain, kind of giga brain, economics, finance guys, do they ever get frustrated with not just leaping out and taking the big bucks from the private firms?
Well, you have to do that when you're younger.
Yeah.
Because there's private firm, unless you're like, I don't want to say political or you're senior and have a nice Rolodex, because then they can retire and rotate out. Like if you went in, negotiated, say, some big trade treaty, you would know the most powerful people in those countries. So,
Right.
And they want to kind of know what the U.S. is doing in a way where they don't get blindsided by stuff on trades and economics. So
Sure.
they'll hire you and stuff like that as senior advisors. But that's a really higher level up. My buddies aren't really that. They're not. Some went off to the private sector, but they're kind of the guys that I don't want to say they can't go, but they're just too much about. Well, let's put it this way: a 25-year-old is going to work 110 hours a week. These guys are going to want to work 25.
Yeah, I got you.
So it's like,
Eamon said that, the Japanese bonds have been having a hard time. They've printed many trillions to buy and try to hold the peg, but are failing bigly.
Yeah.
So. All right. So, and look, at the end of the day, look, the same interlinkedness that we had like in 2008 when, European countries were failing, it all, interconnects and can bring each other down. Right. And then with the economy the size of Japan, any kind of collapse can have an impact worldwide because it just all is interconnected. It's very much like what we're experiencing with Celsius and 3AC and their failures is they are having an impact across the board in the entire ecosystem. We've created, we're trying to create a better financial system, but at the end of the day, the big dogs always are going to impact and influence all of us if they fuck shit up. And, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's all interwoven, interconnected. This is what kind of happened in previous times when things start going to zero. I don't equate this to 2008 at all, but I think that when you look at, 10 trillion in mortgage assets going to zero in a day, basically, that leaves a pretty big sucking hole there. Everything.
You think?
Yeah. So, I don't think we have that kind of stuff, but,
No, when I equate it, I'm just equating it to when one country, one bank fails, it's not isolated. It is going to impact every other interconnected bank in Europe, or it's going to impact banks in Asia, or it's going to impact the United States economy. There is no isolation of states anymore. It's long gone.
I liken it to the things like the stuff that where we execute on multiple protocols automatically, and you built all this stuff in Curve and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
If one in the middle of that sequence fails,
you're
stuck, man.
Yep.
So
yep.
That's kind of
and that's interesting because we have so many people that are anti-globalization in this world, especially in the crypto space. And the hilarious thing is crypto is supposed to break down barriers and boundaries, but what they don't realize is there is no going back. We're not going back to, and I don't even know if there ever was a going back to, because things have been interlinked. But we are tightly integrated among every country in the world right now. And you could look what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Look what's happened, the impact of of those economies and exports of oil and gas and wheat and grain and how that impacts the whole world, right? I mean, it's impossible to keep shit isolated anymore. It's just not going to happen.
Well, you can't, because you want resources to flow in the most efficient way to where they're needed, and that's capital, that's labor, that's inputs. And if you're a corporate entity and you have to operate at a profit, you go where that stuff's the cheapest. But what that means is, you get all that shit filling up Target and Walmart, all that useless plastic crap that you don't really need.
Yep.
Well, that's only 4 cents.
Yeah.
So that's the globalization effect for you. So the next time you're in the Walmart line looking around, that's globalization everywhere you look.
Exactly.
But I think I get it. People want to have this nostalgia for the U.S. manufacturing-led economy.
Yep.
But, you want to go where the labor's cheaper. And I don't think that ever can exist here, because you can't manufacture in the, a lot of stuff in the U.S. because the manufacturing process is detrimental to the workers.
Yeah.
In the chemicals and.
Yeah. Well, I think what's going to change is, and there's a lot of people that talk about this, but it's one of the things that got me most interested in supporting Andrew Yang is automation and robotics will make it possible for the United States to manufacture again. It's just not going to bring any jobs. I mean, it'll bring jobs in the robotics industry, but it's not going to bring manufacturing jobs. It's not going to employ the typical blue collar guys who would work in those factories, because they're not going to be needed in the factories. So I definitely agree that manufacturing is coming. I actually believe that manufacturing will come back to this country. It's just not going to require humans. And that becomes an even bigger problem for unrest throughout the world. Frankly,
that's the question. Why would you want the factory here if it didn't employ humans? Why not just run it in Brazil or something?
I guess if it's your company and you're a US company and you can do it for the same cost or less with automation and have the factory here in this country, why wouldn't you? Right.
Well, I mean, taxes is one reason.
That's a good reason. Definitely.
But you can, I don't know foreign tax rules is how you depreciate foreign assets in U.S. returns, but you can also depreciate all the assets in the U.S. So that's advantageous. Probably could do something like that with the stuff overseas. But, I think the thing is everybody's looking for something to do.
Yep.
I have a lot of relatives on my dad's side that, worked in the auto industry.
On your bad side?
Dad's side.
Oh, dad's side. I thought you said
D
on my bad
dick.
side. I'm like, oh my God, we got stories coming.
No, dad's
incoming
side.
Stories about Joe's bad side.
No, that stays hidden.
The Irish mafia.
Dark side. The Black Irish stuff. No. They all worked in the auto factories and they're, blue collar manufacturing labor. But I'm telling you, back then, in fact, I had an uncle, they're all passed away, but he had put every trunk on every Cadillac for 10 years, because they all came out of one plant, and I want to maybe the River Rouge plant or something in Michigan, but he did all that. So these guys did, they were union labor, but they would make $15 an hour and OT of 28 or something. But these people had houses, cars, sent their kids to college, did all kinds of things like that with manufacturing. And I think that is just the fact that we've beaten the unions down so hard in the last 30 years.
I agree.
Here. But I don't know what the answer is.
Chuck has some Chuck posted in some cool comments that I like, some innovative ideas as well. Until we retool things so that the workers that are replaced by robots are the ones that own the robots and receive revenue, we aren't ever going to jump that automation chasm. Trade unions should look forward 25 years and be investing union dues and funding owning robots and leasing them out the same way GE leases jet engines. That's really cool. If labor doesn't own future labor, then the workers on this planet are fucked. And I really like these ideas. I think it becomes a form of, what we've talked about in the past of UBI, of universal basic income, is that we will reach a point where humans are needed less and less and less in the workforce. We're not there yet, but in the US, service sector and retail sector are what employ a good chunk of people. But Chuck, this is absolutely
robot DAO.
Yeah, there you go. I like it even better. And this is actually something you and I've talked about on the show in the past is the idea that there's a huge opportunity in automation, robots, and AI. And while we are, as a country, getting better at it, we're not great at it yet. And, that could be a really cool thing to have workers own part of a DAO that's actually making money from what replaces them. I think that's a really, really cool concept.
Yeah, I wish some. I mean, that could work in some. Whenever. Oh, sorry, it's just a note from someone. I love those ideas when people get displaced. Getting a piece of what comes next. But what happens? I think is that management. I mean, I guess if it's a union shop, then you could probably do that. But if management just wants to be more efficient, they're just going to do what they want to do.
Of course.
And that's kind of what.
Well, I mean, obviously, whoever creates it would have to, if you're going to do this with labor owned, or you're going to do this as a DAO, you've got to be creating superior technology. You got to be creating the shit that the manufacturers want, right? And then it doesn't matter, right? Then they will buy from you. But I think it's a really cool, innovative concept. To take
I like
that
it.
approach. I definitely agree. Let me see what else I've got today, Joe. Oh, this was one I was going to post in our group, but this guy Punk6529, man, he comes up with so many awesome threads. He's very heavily engaged in NFTs and the metaverse, but this is just an awesome thread about why the metaverse needs crypto, right? And how important it is to have it integrated in crypto. It's really, really fantastic thread. I'm not going to read through the whole thing like I do sometimes. I'll let others grab hold of it in the show notes, but just there's a ton of reasons why crypto needs to exist in the metaverse, and I'll let everyone take a look at that and give it a shot. That's the Fei Lab stuff. Oh, this was pretty good thread. This thread got made fun of yesterday, but it's actually pretty spot on. So there are 3 stages of a bear market. We just entered stage 2. Stage 1, the unwind. The excitement and greed from the bull market still exists. Many narratives pop up for weeks at a time. Assets still have floors. Valuations are cut, but companies don't make the tough decisions, kill products and layoffs. Things seem all right. Stage 1 doesn't feel like a bear market. It feels like prices have pulled back to realistic valuations. Investors continue allocating. Builders keep building, and general life is good. Only the weekends sell. Stage 2, forced capitulation. This is where it gets ugly. Narratives die. Prices fall 90%, then another 90%. Layoffs across the board. Mainstream media and cynics rise up in stage 2. They laugh and shout, "I told you." Luna sent us into stage 2. In stage 2, diamond hands become forced sellers. They sell not because they want to, but because they have to. Celsius doesn't want to sell. 3AC doesn't want to sell. All of these guys are so leveraged up, they have to sell because the market's forcing them to. In stage 2, any bounce will be immediately sold into. And that's something that's important to remember. Everybody likes to get their hopes up every time they see a bounce happening and like, oh, maybe we're going to come out of this fast, right? And it's like, no, it's going to get sold into and drop back down again, because that's what we're seeing over and over again in the charts, right? The lower prices go, the louder the bears get. The louder it's a bear, the lower the prices go. Creates a vicious cycle. In stage 2, prices crash violently. Excitement is replaced by anger. Yeah, we're definitely seeing that. Stage 3, bottomless exhaustion. After max pain comes max exhaustion. There are no bounces. There are no narratives. Prices consolidate sideways or slowly move down. It's boring. At the bottoms, anger is replaced by silence. During stage 3, you'll want to walk away. Regulators will kick us while we're down. Your favorite Twitter G-gens will go quiet. Web 2 investors will quietly stop allocating. Talented builders will leave. Companies will shut down. You'll question every assumption you had. Stage 3 is the toughest to survive. If you're a company, do whatever it takes to get through. If you're a builder, stay interested, find other builders, build with them. If you're an investor, develop your own thesis, take bets on people you believe in. Don't lose sight of the big picture. We're building an open, permissionless world. It will take decades, not years. Close the computer, zoom out, go for a walk. Just don't give up. And I think that's pretty spot on what we've just seen.
Yeah, I mean, also, what's funny is I always wonder, what if everybody just dumps right now? Everything. All your shit, just dump it. Go into stables and be ready to buy it because it's going down further.
Exactly.
And let's just get this shit over with, man. Because I don't know. I just think you got to have blood in the streets before it bounces back strong.
I think we got some pretty good blood going on.
But, like you said, and we think about that fractal we put up a few weeks ago. I mean, a lot of people are calling for a little rally somewhere in here
Yeah.
through the summer, and
August,
then
July,
a recorrection.
September.
I mean, even like Sean says, 13.8 somewhere around there too. So I think, if you are buying now, which, I don't see a problem with doing coming in on some good stuff like, Matic and Phantom and, groups like solid plays, or if you just want to play the big boys, I don't see a problem starting to scale into ETH a little bit here if you aren't in at all, or if you bought it, at 4,000,
Right.
I would be DCAing here for sure. But if you're just coming in fresh, or you're thinking that, okay, what do I do now? Day zero, I want to start trading, whether you have it or not. When it starts going up, man, set your goals before you buy. Like if you bought Phantom at, let's say it's at 20 cents, you bought it at 20 cents. If it goes to 40 in a day, are you going to sell it?
Right.
I am.
Yeah.
So, maybe you don't sell it all, sell some, get your principal off, but don't let this thing ride. Because, at the end of the summer, you're going to give it back. You're going to get some of it back at least. 25.30, then 13.8. Awesome. Thanks, Sean.
Sean thinks we're going to hit 30K, I guess, and then bounce and then dump back down to 13.8.
Yeah.
So really devastate everyone at that point.
Yeah. So don't come in with a bunch of fresh money and leave it in there for a long time.
Right.
I guess is the point.
And by the way, Sean is going to come on the show next week.
All right, buddy.
We've had a little discussion on Telegram because everything we say about maxis is wrong. And he wants to give us and the audience a primer on what it means to be a maxi. And
I love it.
Now, I think that Sean is the exception to the maxi rule.
I agree.
And so I think this is going to be very interesting to have this discussion. So
no, it's going to be fun because he's super. You're safe here, buddy. It's a safe zone.
It's a safe place. Don't worry.
Excuse me. Yeah, I think I love his attitude. I love his tone. I love his demeanor. And, obviously he speaks from a lot of skill and a lot of expertise. So as far as him being, we don't slur, okay, we're not going to lump him in with all the Schiller maxis. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
But, he knows what he's talking about.
But here's the difference. The primary difference I see between Sean and many maxis, whether they're Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever, XRP, I don't give a shit.
I guess, Frog Nation with maxis too, right?
Yeah. The difference,
in their
Ethereum, I mean, it's all or nothing usually in a maxi. But anyway, the difference with Sean is that Sean is always willing to investigate. Now, he does take make broad stroke comments. So we'll talk about that some. But for the most part, he is one of the few open-minded maximalists that I've met. And that's what I think is a fundamental difference with him.
Yeah, no, I think, well, look, there's substance behind his perspective.
Right. It's not religious.
Yeah, exactly.
It's mission-based. I mean, he's missionary-based when it comes to that.
Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Totally looking forward to that. Absolutely. Let me see if I got anything else, Joe. Otherwise, I'm going to, Bloomberg has detected unusual activity from my computer when trying to load an article.
You got a VPN up?
I don't know what the fuck. No, I don't know what the fuck I was loading.
Have you seen any? There's been some talk again about Tether again.
Oh, Musk, Tesla, SpaceX are sued for alleged Dogecoin pyramid scheme. There you go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is clever.
Yeah.
It reminds me of an article I saw where some lady, I saw it yesterday, you can Google it. Somebody had car sex and caught an STD and there's
Yeah. Well, Musk tweeted that. So this was
he tweeted it?
He tweeted the article that got everybody's attention because the article said woman who got STDs and cars, insurance, Geico was forced to pay up, right? Well, Musk was like, see, this is what's wrong with these lawsuits, or what's wrong with the insurance industry and what drives the high cost of insurance. But when you read the article, Geico had multiple opportunities to settle. Their policies had a big giant hole that this woman's attorneys drove her lawsuit through. And they then continued to fight it in arbitration and screwed the pooch and lost. And so this is more a story. That's more of a story to me of bad policy, bad legal advice, and
Well, how do you?
bad
I don't get,
operations.
what's the linkage between a car manufacturer and some chick having sex with a guy in the back seat and catching an
You
STD?
mean the
I don't
car
get
insurance?
what. Yeah, why is it? I don't get why they're liable for her getting,
Because the way the
genital warts or
policy was
something.
written essentially said something along the lines of any injuries, anything that happens to you in this vehicle would be covered under this policy. I don't know the exact wording, but the bottom line was their policy was stupidly written, I guess, around just all encompassing for anything that could happen in the
Well,
car.
I would.
So she got STD in the car. They were
bullshit.
liable.
That's
Well,
bullshit.
of course it's
They'll
bullshit.
appeal. They might have just settled, but I'm sure that language is.
No, they went to
completely fixed now.
arbitration. So they've got
No,
to
no.
they've got
Well,
to
no,
change
you can.
they got to
Go
change
ahead.
the language. It's just stupid. It's like, look, you should have settled for 1 million when you had the chance. Instead, you didn't, and you kept fighting it, and then you lost because the wording of your contract was stupid. But at the end of the day, it's not about. It's like, look, you need to do a better job, Geico, of protecting yourself from this stupidity, right?
I'd probably just get better lawyers, because the problem is that now it's everybody else retroactively is going to be now. It's probably why they were fighting it instead of just paying off the little skeezer chick. Now it's like anybody did anything, fell over, whatever, fell out of the car. I mean, you could be drunk and fall out of the car.
And there's
now.
probably a good 300,000 or 400,000 people in this country that have gotten an STD in a car.
Yeah, what do we got? 300 plus million? Yeah, there's got to be. I mean, unfortunately, they're probably all high school age or early college.
I spent a lot of time in cars in high school.
Oh, I can remember those fogged up windows too, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there's nowhere to go when you're a kid.
Anyway, so now somebody's suing him because I guess he's promoting Dogecoin. I don't have a Bloomberg account.
Well, it's funny whenever he in the past when he would tweet about Doge and then it would go rocketing up.
Look at Sean. Only
There you
if you
go.
can say it's an injury. Was the first kid an injury? Sean says, "Can I claim for the cost of my first kid from my car insurance company?"
Maybe college got it.
Yeah, they can pay for college. But I think you'll have to actually declare publicly that you were injured by having a child. So I don't know. That's your call. That depends on your relationship with your firstborn.
Oh, I remember him talking about his son too. Yeah, that's right. He's in the game as well. If I remember.
Yeah, I
right.
think he's a shitcoiner though.
That's right. That's right. I remember that. Yeah, we'll have to have Sean tell us about that.
Yeah, he's got the Peter Schiff syndrome because his son's a Bitcoiner.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Yeah, we should get his son on too.
So,
USDC is going to introduce a euro-backed stablecoin in the United States, which is interesting. Interesting play, interesting bet.
Well, so
the euro-denominated reserves will be held in U.S. financial institutions.
Yeah. No, I kind of like that idea.
Euro C.
Hey, what are you hearing about Tether? I'm seeing a lot of stuff about new redemptions, and
I haven't seen anything lately.
1.6 billion this week, largest.
Let's see if the Twitter feed. Oh shit! I forgot about this. Zach XBT has a big article out that he's done about this guy Jeff Wang, who was a boy band star and started a recording studio, then started a hedge fund, a treasury management company in 2021, embezzled 22,000 from that, and then did 10 more NFT and token rugs so far. So the guy has basically fucked over, everybody and their dog. Squid DAO was his. Squid DAO.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So what is he getting? What's going on with him? Is he arrested?
Nah, this is just Zach XBT, who always writes these exposés about scammers in the space. He's one of my heroes in DeFi because he's relentless. The guy's relentless. Oh, forgot. Wait, where'd it go? Remember the guy on Telegram that was going to release all this shit about assassinations and rape and
was it a hoax?
Pedophilia? He admitted it was a hoax. He sent a note through the Ethereum address. He got blocked on Twitter, by the way, but he said there is no release tomorrow. This is all a hoax. There is no secret orgies or assassination. There is no Twitter employee hiding information. There is no sexual assault. No people and influencers stealing from users or people using alts to prop up projects. These are all fabrications made by myself for attention. I will be dead from suicide. You have nothing to worry about. So do not bother finding me. Do not send any money or funds to this address and move on. If any message that comes from this address in the future, any message is claimed to be dead man switches, then assume the private key for this address is compromised and assume it is a fake message by someone else. Bye. So
Well,
there was speculation that
balanced.
he did. Yeah, there was speculation that he did it, this fake out to see how influencers responded to it. Like, which ones clammed up, which ones freaked out, which ones started criticizing, whatever. I don't know. Seems a little weird. Now, would be interesting if he had a dead man switch and then all of a sudden this massive amount of data came through. But anyway, I had posted, he said, you're welcome for the hoaxer and for doxing my Twitter, laughing out loud. That was James that responded. Because I posted up saying, hey, what happened to the Telegram guy? And James helped me out by giving me the inside scoop. So thank you, James. You're always a great contributor. Now you're a great contributor to my Twitter feed too. You already were. So appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, James.
So anyway, that's interesting. Let me see if I think I had one more thing. Oh, did you see we didn't talk about Coinbase yesterday, did we?
The 18%, the layoffs?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did we talk about how badly they handled it?
No.
Didn't
you say that they sent letters to the people that they fired saying they were hired or fired?
No, that was the first debacle. Like,
okay. If
anybody still thinks that Brian Armstrong knows what the fuck he's doing running a company, this has been completely disproven at this point. So last week, Brian went public criticizing some anonymous person who posted a petition to get some senior executives at Coinbase fired, right? And instead of just letting it die, this guy who has thousands of followers retweets with the link to the petition and then goes on a rant about how stupid the employee is and he should fucking take a hike if he doesn't like how things are run, blah, 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 blah. Everything about this guy screams 1955 management training. So yesterday, they had a total fucking meltdown when they were laying off all these people. Yesterday, the day before, whatever it was. Didn't give people severance. Laid off hundreds of people that they've hired in the last few weeks. Some people didn't even get notified they were laid off and just couldn't log in to the network, and all their access was locked out. Some people got messages in Slack saying they were laid off. It was a total, complete clusterfuck layoff. Like, just the most unprofessional way to do this. And
that's a pretty unprofessional company, I think we've
I already thought that Coin was a bad stock, personally, because I think Coinbase is just a gateway and it'll be replaced very easily by people that don't charge ridiculous fees. They've been riding on their reputation as the place where everybody came into crypto. It was the first place I came into crypto, but they have no long-term capabilities and they are run by a guy that can't get out of his own way. So I feel horrible for the people that got laid off, but I wouldn't touch that stock with a 10-foot fucking pole. But anyway, they completely blew the chaos. 18% of its workforce laid off, didn't give people severance, just shitty all the way around.
You know what's going to happen here? They're going to drive this thing into bankruptcy. By that, I mean the big banks. And then they're going to buy it for pennies on a dollar. And, it might be called something else, might be called this. I don't know. But this is that's the play here.
Yeah. Now, be smart if somebody bought a bank, right? Like bought a small bank somewhere, then acquire Coinbase, like a SPAC or whatever.
Yeah.
Then acquire Coinbase and merge those two together. Then use the bank licenses to take Coinbase to the next level. That would actually be interesting.
Yeah. It doesn't have, have you ever really sat there and traded on it at all? Or is it
a long time ago?
Yeah.
Look, they charge stupid fees. Their interface is nice. The onboarding for new people is really nice. They've done a great job with that. The education piece is really nice in there where people get tokens for learning and taking quizzes. That's all really nice. I think it's smart. I think they've done well. Their wallet their decentralized wallet, non-custodial wallet, is actually a pretty good product. And we talked a couple of weeks ago about the fact that they were now adding DeFi protocols into the Coinbase app, not the wallet, but the Coinbase app. So they were making some moves, but they have no revenue stream from any of that. And until they figure that out, they've got a real problem. So look, I'm not saying they can't turn it around and become something else, but they're so embedded in the regulatory framework, it's very difficult for them to do anything risky in DeFi. Like there's no big move they can make that way. It's too hard. So
they can't really do any, like, it's very hard for them to do any yield generating stuff.
They got shut down by the SEC. Yeah, remember, he spent months trying. I felt bad for him at that point, but he spent months trying to get approval on some yield stuff and got completely, fucked over by the SEC and ignored. So anyway,
well, he needs better lawyers if they're not paying attention.
Exactly,
you can get those things done if you just basically do it the right way.
I agree.
He plays the game of being a regulated exchange. Well, if you're a regulated exchange, you got to be kissing ass to the government.
That's right.
And, it's not like you're a pirate out there like a lot of other people. So you got to play the game. So he should have had, the guys that I know that do this type of stuff, they used to work there, or they know a bunch of people who did, or they have a strong 30-year relationship with those guys. And they come in and vouch for you that, you're not going to do this, and hey, this is what he's done, he's not going to do this, and here's the protections, and you make them comfortable. It's not like you show up and go, it's kind of like you go list a token and you start paying yield, and the SEC calls and goes, what the fuck, dude?
Right.
And you're like, oh yeah, I meant to tell you about this, and we're gonna, so here's the plan, blah blah blah, and then they're like, fuck that, dude, you're fucked. You have to tell them way ahead. If they say no, then pivot. That's, if you're going to play this game, you got to play this game. If you don't want to play this game, go somewhere else and do it.
Yep.
But I have a feeling with globalization and stuff that you really can't get away from it.
Small amount of adoption. Good news. Spain's largest airline, Vueling, adopts Bitcoin as a payment method for tickets.
Nice.
That's cool. Very nice. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. I would encourage them to use other cryptos. Maybe they are, and it's just the article is slanted that way. Oh yeah, customers could choose between 13 different cryptocurrencies. Nice.
Yeah.
Bitcoin, fucking Bitcoin Cash. People, Dogecoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Shiba Inu, what the fuck, and WBTC.
Oh, all the winners.
Well, WBTC, BTC are good.
Yeah, of course.
Dogecoin, I'm good with, whatever. Ethereum, Litecoin, but Shiba, BCH, fake Satoshi shit. No, that's BSV. He's BSV.
Hey, how's your buddy Craig Wright doing these days?
Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't sued me yet.
Yeah, I know. When you guys, what was it? Never mind.
I don't know what happened to Peter McCormick's lawsuit. He was being sued by Craig. I don't know what happened with his lawsuit.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. All right, dude, let's wrap it up. You good?
Oh, wait, hold on. Just one quick thing. FTX valued at $8 billion as first fundraise draws SoftBank and Temasek. I used to work with Temasek in Singapore. Huge sovereign fund.
Wait, they raised?
Yeah, they raised. Oh, they're valued at $8 billion. I don't know what they raised. Let me see. As first fundraise draws. So they probably signed, saw letters of intent. Let me see here.
I don't understand why that man needs
400
to raise
million.
Money.
He raised 400 million.
Why the fuck does he need to raise 400 million?
Well, look, when you bring Temasek and SoftBank into the scene, you're bringing a lot of networking gravitas is probably a polite way to put it. You're bringing a lot of power because you know who invests in SoftBank. I mean, it's like sovereign funds and ultra high net worth. Despot's not the right.
So you don't need the money. You're just doing it to get the connection.
Protection, I think. Series A funding also includes investments. That's nice. A $400 million Series A. I'm always digging on that. Includes investments from crypto investment firm Paradigm, Multicoin, Tribe, Ontario Teachers Pension Plan Board. So the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan is investing. That's interesting.
That's really interesting.
Green Oaks Capital, Steadview Capital, and Lightspeed Venture Partners, among others. So look, you bring in what's about 10 financial institutions globally. Get yourself some walking around money. I guess, they did the forum. No, they did They're here. Yeah, they're here at our arena, right? They're American Airlines
Yeah.
is FTX now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much they paid for that?
I don't.
I just want to
Some
see. Maybe they
stupid
borrowed the
number.
400 million to cover the stadium deal. Miami Arena sponsorship cost. Let's see. 135 million, 19-year sponsorship agreements.
All
That's
right.
not much. I mean, didn't like Crypto.com pay some like 500 million for LA?
I don't know.
I mean,
Bigger, is that a bigger
bonehead.
TV market?
Yeah, Lakers. Yeah. I mean, but the Heat too, and all you get the South America market here too. So you get bang, you get a twofer.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so that's interesting. So people are getting money out there, but I'm with you. I'm pretty much done.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, James. Thank you, Chuck, for participating today. We always love to have everyone that's listening and watching participating and providing insights. So don't hesitate to jump in on YouTube and make your comments. I think you can also make comments in the LinkedIn interface, although I haven't tried it. If you have a moment and you're listening later on today on the Apple Podcast or your favorite podcast app, please take 5 minutes to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It does a lot to boost our presence. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, click the little bell so you hear about our latest episodes, and make a comment on this video so that other people can know that you're watching as well. Thanks very much. Joe, have a lovely, lovely afternoon, and glad you're on the mend from your illness.
Yeah, I feel a lot better.
We'll chat a little later today, sir.
Yeah, awesome, man. All right.